Hello everyone, Mr. Lang here, and for this lab we worked on making a couple different kind of cables. We made a straight through cable and a crossover cable. You could check out my other YouTube videos that kind of go in more depth of what cable you should use in what scenario, but this tutorial is just a little bit about what we have done and what we've used to make a cable. So first of all, you can see some of the things that we have here. And we'll start left to right. Over here on the left, we have our wire strippers. All right, we also have where we can make the actual termination of the RJ45 socket right there with the wire installed and everything in it. All right, and this is really nice because it allows it to cut off at the end. This is a wire through RJ45, and you'll see that more here in a little bit. Up on top here, we have our wire stripper. This just takes off the outer gray jacket of our Cat5 Ethernet cable. Over on the right here, we have our tester that we plug in our cable to when we are all done to test and make sure that the cable is working accordingly. In the middle, we have a Cat5 wire. And then down below, we have a couple RJ45 termination ends. And again, this is a pass-through system. This is the first time I've used them, and I really like them. So our next step is, again, here we are. We're just kind of working through the process. I now have my cable. I have my RJ45 ends. And here it is. I am putting my wire stripper on. Again, these have adjustments on it, and you want to adjust it so it's only taking off the outer jacket. So if I look here, I've only taken off, and I had to bend this up and down a little bit, and it then took off the gray outer jacket. You don't want it to nick the wires themselves because then it would be no good. That cable you would just throw away or start over, cut that off and start over at that point. So be very careful when you are cutting your or the outer jacket off. Then you can see I'm kind of pulling that outer jacket off, and that's what I see. And every cable is different. Some cables have different plastics in them and different things, but this is kind of what we are looking at. Pulled the cable off, and as you can see here, I gave myself a good couple inches to work with here. I didn't cut it off really short with the pass-throughs. I gave myself a lot of real estate to work with. Here, I just separated all of my wires, all right? So they're twisted pairs. I separated them. I call them the pigtail version of the wire. And then I straighten them out. And I actually grab like a end of a screwdriver or something. You can just take your fingers and straighten these wires out. However you do it, just straighten those wires out. All right. And then you can kind of see how they're all nice and straight from there and ready to go on to the next part of our project. And here I accessed a resource online to figure out what order these should be in. And depending on if you're making a straight through or a crossover, or there's different versions of the straight through, whatever, you just want to make sure that you stick to one throughout your network. And so I get them nice and straight. Again, you can see that I have plenty of real estate to work with here. Got my cables in the order that I need them to be. And I like to then cut off the ends. And as you can see, they're nice and straight right there before I put it in to the RJ45 itself. And now it just slid right into the RJ45 end termination there, and I slid it even further. And now here you can see that my gray is pushed in way past this because when I crimp down, this actually gets crimped down onto the gray outer jacket. I don't want this to be crimped down onto the wires. So push that gray in quite far. All right. And now I've gone and I have separated all of my wires. I moved my orange striped, my orange, my green striped, blue striped, green, brown striped, and brown. And you can definitely see that I have them in the right order that I want them before I crimp them down. Because once you crimp them down, you're not going to be able to go back and redo it. You pretty much have to cut off that end and start all over. So here it is. I got my crimping tool. I put in, believe it or not, the RJ45N is in there. The wires are coming through the other side. And so when I actually crimp down, it cuts off the end of those wires there. And as you can see, this part right here is cinched down onto the gray outer sleeve and not the wires themselves. That's really important when making your cable. And again, just kind of taking a look at that at a different angle. And now I put it on the tester. And it looks like this is a straight through cable. And so my one should line up with the one on the right. On the left, number two with the two on the right. All right, and so on and so forth. So that was me making my cable. Hopefully, you are able to make some great cables, and love to see what you can come up with. But again, check out my YouTube channel for other videos on me actually testing them out, pinging them, and the sort. So awesome.